There are many challenges and opportunities for international investors in distress in Brazil. In particular, US investors, they tend to look at the scenario from the US angle with all of their legal backgrounds and expectations into how quickly things would go, and they have, the Brazilian law was amended and was tried to be modeled in some ways after the US laws. And so US investors have some expectations that things will happen in a similar way as they would in the US, but it's necessarily not the case because the laws are different. The law is not, there isn't enough precedence. And so when you get to a lot of important and key issues for an investor, such as whether DIP financing is available or other, critical matters, you don't have clear answers. And so this is concerning for US investors in general. And it just means that there are many opportunities in Brazil with the economy the way it is, with the amount of companies, construction companies and others that are forced to sell assets either because of Lava Jato or otherwise. So there are many opportunities, including because assets are still relatively cheap, taking into consideration the currency and other factors. But the US investor needs to go about it very carefully and needs to really study the situation, the legal aspects, has to have good advisors, and it's this seminar has confirmed what we all already knew, which is that it's complex and it has to be very carefully studied.
How international investors may benefit from the Brazilian bankruptcy law?
Well, Brazil right now has reached the point where it's probably a good entry point for investors to take advantage of opportunities there. Brazil has always been through cycles of economic growth and then followed by economic depression, and right now probably prices are relatively low and acquisitions may unlock a lot of value. So I guess investors need to take a look at the opportunities which are there, and the bankruptcy the Brazilian bankruptcy code offers some opportunities in terms of transactions that can be done.
What type of industries or sectors can be interesting to invest in Brazil in the coming years?
In this distress space, I think the construction sector would be one to look at. Also, sugar and ethanol, it's been there for a while, so should continue to watch there one. Also, oil and gas might be another potential area. And maybe mining sector could be one, especially for leverage companies, can be another one to invest.
What are the main concerns about the Brazilian bankruptcy law?
Well, the law is not new right now. It's like, as I said before, as a teenager, almost 11 years. A couple of things. I think we need to regulate better the deep financing. Still, there's no clarity on the priority and the seniority of the lenders. I think that's one thing. The other thing I think needs to be improved is the period for the process itself, the 180 days. It's never been complied with by the judge and by the companies. So I think the two main points, there are a lot of other things to get better and to improve, but I think those two would be very important to solve.
How the US bankruptcy laws can assist Brazilian companies?
Well, with the current slate of Brazilian companies that have sought bankruptcy relief in Brazil, the trend that we've seen as far as the U.S. bankruptcy laws are concerned is that the balance sheet, the capital structure of these companies have become much more complex. The ways in which the U.S. bankruptcy laws can assist a Brazilian company is really assisting them to restructure the cross-border aspects of their balance sheet. So to the extent they've issued bond debt that's governed by U.S. dollars or governed by U.S. law, or bank debt that's governed by U.S. laws, the U.S. bankruptcy laws can assist as far as those companies negotiating and hopefully entering into a resolution with those creditors with regards to that debt.